Imagine if a zombie apocalypse started tomorrow. How do you think you would fare? We've all planned out this entire scenario in our heads. Through the years and years of gaming and movie experience, we're ready to survive the zombie apocalypse. Well, if it was the zombies from The Walking Dead, you could probably do just fine.
That was easy.
If it was the zombies from World War Z or Left 4 Dead, you're screwed. We don't know how strong or fast the zombies will be. Regardless, we've decided to come up with the best plan possible to survive the most dangerous and most deadly part of the zombie apocalypse, which is the first week. So without further ado, here's a guide to survive the first week of the zombie apocalypse and avoid becoming one yourself. Confusion will be at an all-time high in the very first moments, and mayhem will ensue. People are going to panic, governments are probably going to contain the situation through any means necessary, meaning either locking people up, forcing them to stay in certain areas, or just sending a missile. We don't want to stick around for all of that to happen, and we don't want to wait till hordes of zombies are formed as they munch on people's brains left and right and bodies start to drop. Right away, the best thing to do is grab a backpack, even if it's empty, and bounce. It's best to try to communicate while you can before phone lines and signal reception are down. Use the phone while it's still useful to try and band up with your friends and family. It is better to be with a small group you trust than to be alone or in an extremely large group. You also use the GPS to figure out where the important stores and gas stations are, as well as outline a map or a route to safety as you try and roam around the first day of the outbreak. Finally, you should find out where the hotspots for infection are and which places have been overrun with zombies, as well as places populated with just humans, and avoid those places. Avoid malls and big supermarkets at all costs. Those will be the most populated places in the entire city, and they are guaranteed death traps. People's first instincts are to run to the big supermarkets to get as much food and supplies as they can. If the zombies don't get them, other humans fighting for loot will. What you should do instead is go to small local corner shops that no one will think of. After you do that, gear up on proper clothes, shoes, etc. Keep in mind that you're heading into the apocalypse and you'll need to dress accordingly. Wear comfortable running shoes that'll hold up or combat boots. Also wear long-sleeved, thick gear that will protect you in the cold, and might also shield you from zombie scratches or bites. When you get to a store or anywhere in general, if you hear a sound, leave. There's no need to find out where that noise came from, and if it's a human or not. Curiosity killed the cat, and the less you know, the better. If you must hide in the basements of local stores with proper metal locks. Wait out the rest of the first day here. Sleep and eat well, because the second day is not going to be any easier. You'll need all the stamina you can get. In fact, this is probably the easiest day you're going to have in the entire zombie apocalypse. On the second day, eat small portions of your food, as you don't know when you'll be able to find more. Although it may be annoying, if we've learned anything from movies, it is best to wrap magazines or plates around your arms so you can block off zombie bites. Find a weapon immediately. Avoid gun stores because that's where everyone would go, and there will be a lot of friendly fire, misfires, and people coming to kill you intentionally. Look for a sports store to grab a metal bat or a kitchen store to grab some knives. Ideally, you want a katana or a machete, but that'll be hard to come by for now.
Okay.
You'll want to move to a more secure shelter, preferably someplace multiple floors high, as the zombies will have trouble going up. The ideal location would be a tall office building with a kitchen, a vending machine, and a supply room. Your group can stay there for a while depending on how much food you have. Move quickly through the streets and try to move in the shadows. Avoid running in the middle of the street. Try to go through back alleys or in between buildings. If you can move through rooftops, that would be even better. Board up the doors and the place will be secured with all the facilities you need: a kitchen, bathroom, and supplies. Grab everything from the vending machine and also look throughout the office and kitchen fridge for any food you can find. You'll also want to upgrade your weapon to be more effective against zombie brains. If you have a bat, using the supplies from the office, modify it with some nails or blades. If you have blades, then make sure they're all sharp and ready to slice and dice. Rest up for the rest of the day and let the chaos die out a bit in the streets. The next day, you should start making plans out of the city. On day 3, you should find a map of the city and plan your route out of it. pinpoint important gas stations and stores along the way so you can make a stop. Most importantly, avoid highways at all costs. They'll be blocked with abandoned cars and zombies. Gather all the final supplies you need. Grab food, water, and a first aid kit. Finally, let the day play out, as this will be the final day of mayhem, and you want to avoid being part of it. Rest well, because the next day you'll be making your way out of the city. Stick to the plan on day 4 and follow the route you've drawn. Leave the building and run through the most empty street. Move through parking lots if possible, as it will be less crowded. Ideally, electric scooters will come in clutch as they don't make much noise. Bicycles can also work if you're moving on the road. If you're forced to fight a zombie, don't overkill or go into a frenzy. You don't want to drain yourself or lose focus. Hit them 2 or 3 times and bounce.
Slithering. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! KO! Hook of the line, and the legend killer picks up the victory.
Rest whenever you feel tired or in pain. Bars are a good place to hide because no one will think to go there. Also, there's a limitless supply of alcohol which can be put to medical use and treat wounds. Make sure you barricade doors behind you though. You don't want to be stuck inside a bar and find zombies swarming in. If you're hurt, rest for the night. If not, continue to move and sleep inside a locked car with tinted windows if you can. On day 5, as zombie hordes become increasingly bigger and more dangerous, you will need a way to blend in. We've seen this tactic in The Walking Dead, so trust us, we know what we're talking about. You're going to have to cover yourself in zombie guts to blend in with the zombies and camouflage yourself. Covering yourself is not enough because you'll also need to walk like the zombies so they don't sense that something is off. On the outskirts of the city, now it would be time to find a car. Ideally, you should find big trucks that can withstand hits and easily run over groups of zombies. Later on, we'll want to upgrade to an armored vehicle that's modded with weapons, but there's still a long time till we reach this stage. For now, survival, gathering, and shelter are more important. On day 6, you should be traveling by car and out of the city. Refuel as often as possible, even when it's not necessary. You never know what you need until you need it, and you never know what may happen. That extra bit of fuel could save your life. Stop often at any stop you find where you could gather supplies, but it shouldn't be too quiet. If it's too quiet, assume this is an ambush. Remember, if you easily found a place, then so did others. The goal here is to avoid strangers and assume that anyone you find wants to rob and kill you. Continue to drive and don't stop for nothing. Drive through the night if necessary, but avoid being a sitting duck for too long. If you have to sleep, sleep inside your locked car and be ready to take off at any moment. On the final day of the first week, you should be arriving at your destination, a cabin in the woods. The woods will be the safest and most isolated place you can live in during the apocalypse. It will also be filled with game to hunt. You'll be fairly hidden from the outside, and you'll be able to see threats coming your way. You should set traps around the area, but make sure you can mark them so you don't fall to them yourself. Hide stashes around the area as well with food, water, and equipment, so that if the need ever arises or you're on the run, there's always something to grab. Finally, create an alert system to know if people or zombies are approaching your cabin. After that is done, you need to start planning on a bigger scale. Think bigger. Think about farming, livestock, irrigation systems, water purification, and weapons manufacturing. Essential tools for survival. You can either live by yourself and set yourself up on a small scale, or plan to build an entire community and rebuild, but that would be much later in the zombie apocalypse. You can watch all that in our next video. Now, all of this is dependent on 2 things. The first is that you manage to avoid humans and hunters, because that is an entirely different threat on its own. The second is that the zombies are, like we mentioned, slow, weak, and stupid, like the Walking Dead ones. If the zombies are like World War Z, God help us all. Do you think a zombie apocalypse can ever happen? How do you think it would play out? And finally, if you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Leave a comment about what we should discuss next. See you in the next one.